In today's video, I'm going to show you how I consistently and predictably go viral. I run multiple 8-figure e-commerce brands. Within each of those brands, we generate hundreds of millions of views a year, tens of millions of views a month. That happens from a formula that I'm going to break down in this video step by step, but it doesn't only apply for what we do in our business. It applies for everything. So whether you want to be an influencer, content creator, have your own business, what's really interesting is that it has nothing to do with being original or having original ideas, which is pretty counterintuitive because you would think that the way to go viral is having an original concept that breaks the internet and then goes nuclear and spreads like a virus, right? That's what you would think with virality, which is true in a sense, but it gets there in a whole different path than what you would think. It all starts from stealing, starts from theft. Now, I'm talking about legal stealing and legal theft. That's all ethical. So I'm going to break that down for you guys. It's very interesting in terms of how I've been able to do it throughout my career. And this even goes before e-commerce. But what you'll see is the patterns with everything else as we go. I want to give a bit of a backstory. The way that I uncovered this, it's before my e-commerce days. This was really my entrance into digital marketing. The way I started was with Instagram growth hacking. So let me give some backstory on what Instagram was. So this was around 2018, 2019. So at that point, Instagram had fully patched their algorithm of pretty much being able to get organic views. The only way you could get views was through paid ads until they released the Explore page. Now, the Explore page, when it first came out, there was a huge arbitrage opportunity where viral content could go super viral. I was coming across these different videos and these small accounts that pretty much had no followers and saw them just blowing up. I had no knowledge of business at that time, content experience. I was just a freshman in college, but I saw what was going on. I reached out to a few of these people. I ended up connecting with some of them and learned this formula that at that time I could go viral every single time. The first thing you would do is find proven viral videos from other accounts. You would go to these different Instagram pages. You would ideally try to find pages that had less followers. So, somewhere in the range of 10,000, 20,000, and just had videos that were going completely nuclear. So videos that were getting hundreds of thousands of views, sometimes millions of views, and take those videos, repurpose it, but you'd give credit to the account. So you're not stealing their content. Almost never, maybe once or twice, people would tell you to take it down. Usually they would come and say, thank you for making this video go viral. Again, you're pretty much promoting them, giving them free promo. You would take videos that were already proven, give them credit if they wanted. This video was already proven to go viral. You'd put it onto the Explore page where there was this arbitrage of just less creators on there, but so much demand because it was on a huge channel of Instagram. But it wouldn't just go viral if you posted it. There was a few things that you had to do at that time as well. So there was something called power likes at the time. You would have creators with a bunch of followers. It was a network of people you'd pay to be in. They had automated accounts. Automatically, within the first hour of you posting, you would get a few hundred likes from these big accounts and influencers. So the algorithm at that time would reward the amount of followers on an account. And if they liked you, then they would think it was a better video. The second part was dripping a few views. When I'm saying a few, I'm saying like a few thousand views using a panel of some sort, where you would pay for maybe 1,000 or 2,000 views, pay for that to come onto the page. And then that combination with the proven viral video that had the data behind it, pushing some views on it, and then having the power accounts and algorithm, that combination together would make videos go viral. So I started to build niche pages. I did one in the cooking niche. I did one just in funny types of video niche, and so on and so forth, where I would have some clients build pages and get tens of thousands of followers to those pages completely organically through this method and millions of views doing this every single time. That was my introduction to, whoa, there is a way that you can craft virality. Now, fast forward to today's day and age, right, where now what I do is e-commerce. Now, unfortunately, that algorithm got patched 8 months in. I wish I knew e-commerce back then because I would have pumped traffic to different products at that point. It's not as simple today because algorithms have become smarter. Right now, I'm talking about social media, but I'll show you guys how this applies outside of just social media. Fast forward to today, though. What I do now is a very similar instance of how I come up with viral concept for ads consistently that can scale to tens of millions, hundreds of millions of views on individual ads. The process starts from finding something already working. Similar to what I mentioned in the Instagram era, it was finding those videos that already had the proven traction behind it, reusing that, and then putting this whole system around it to make it go viral. So that was with Instagram. With what we do now, the best place to find stuff that's already working is a platform like TikTok, for example, right? So TikTok whatever your category is. If you sell products, if you don't sell products and you just want to become an influencer and want to make funny content, whatever category you want to get into there, all of that is there where you could see exactly what's gone viral. You could see what's already reached the top of what has piqued the interest of people. Virality is meeting the masses, and it has to be something that the masses feel. The video touches on that feeling to not just individual people, but millions of people. If it can reach an individual on that feeling, then it can reach millions as well. So the first part is finding something that's already working, right? This can be a TikTok video. Now, number two is you use that as your entry point into what the idea can be. Now it's breaking down what are the viral components of the video, and then how can you recreate that idea but make it better where you can. What are some flaws in this video? What are some things that you could do a little bit different? What are some things that you can change? Let's use e-commerce to zoom into this, how that would look. So you find a viral TikTok that's doing super well. Instead of just ripping that TikTok directly, it's looking at it, what can I do better? What can I add? What can I showcase? How can I make this better in a different way? Combining these three parts together. If you're doing this research method where you're trying to find a bunch of different viral videos, not just one, you might find one really good concept, but remember another really good concept that you saw maybe a little bit earlier at a different time. So take different ideas from those videos where it can make sense in the first video you saw. Maybe the hook is good in one video, but the body aspect, like if it's a product or showcasing a product, maybe they do it much better in a different video. So pull that one part that you really like from a different video, add that in, and then do something else. And I'm not telling you to take the videos and rip it and then just reformulate it. What I'm telling you is to recreate that yourself with your own creators, with your own type of content, and do those pieces together. Now, number four is you bridge that existing energy into your thing. By that, what I mean by bridging the energy into your thing is that you're taking and this is what point number five is, when you think about it, you're taking something that is in the top 1% content category of whatever you're trying to do. So let's say I'm trying to sell dog beds. I find these different viral videos. I can figure out a way to mash it together in my own way, make my own content. I'm tapping into what has gone viral, what has proven traction, and trying to improve it and amplify it in my own way. Now, all of the ideas, I stole those ideas technically because I took those different ideas. But when you combine all those together, you're creating something unique that falls within that top 1%. So instead of going about it, which is trying to come up with original ideas, right? Original ideas yourself would be, you just try to think of something on your own. Maybe you do your own research and you try to do things like that. But you're doing things creatively, technically, right? Because you're trying to be original on it. But the original thing, what are the chances that you're going to launch an original concept that can beat what has already been proven to get the most amount of views and the most amount of likes from whatever type of audience that you're trying to make content for, whether it's a product ad or just viral content in general? What are the chances of that? Slim to none. If you're going to take an original idea versus a proven viral concept and put those head to head, the original viral concept will win 99.99999% of the time, unless you happen to create these outlier videos, which is very unlikely, even if you're super skilled and been in the game for a long time. So this whole process, going from 1 to 5 over here, is you're tapping into the things that already worked. You're trying to improve those things by looking at other things that have already worked and bridge those different gaps together, using the viral concept, viral hooks, whatever the entry point is that you see the market already wants as your starting point, and then bridging all that existing energy of what you already know works into that concept, into that video that you're going to make, because there's already proven traction behind it. So for point number 6, once you start to do this enough, because it's not going to be from just doing this 1 time or 2 times or 3 times, right? It's going to be, if you do this 20 times a week, 30 times a week, and you do that over the course of a year, you're now sitting at hundreds, maybe thousands of times of doing this in the same type of market and the same type of content industry. You're also going to start being able to read between the lines. You've seen so many different ways of going viral. You've done this yourself enough times where you're starting to learn from the patterns of what's worked, and you're starting to understand all those things. You're going to be able to recognize patterns. It's almost like you can speak a different language, and only you're going to be able to see that. You're going to be able to predict virality now because of how many times you've studied, tested, analyzed, and starting to see what works. And all of this is really a flywheel. You study what works, right? You're looking at these different concepts, you're figuring out what works. You're then recreating those concepts that work. So you're actually practicing it. Then what you're doing is now analyzing the data that you're getting from your own stuff of doing that. And then you're repeating this process over and over. Study, practice, analyze what's working, and keep on that flywheel effect, you're going to quickly start to see the different interconnections of what is getting interest, what's not getting interest, right? So that's on this point of number 6. Number 7 is now you're going to create creativity, which equals virality. This is real creativity because it's not just rooted in originality. Now you're original, but rooted in data and what's already been working, right? So your creativity is going to get you what is that virality, which now is going to become natural, and it's not going to be something that's forced. And remember what I said of like in this part over here where you're picking one video and then you're trying to fill in the blanks or interconnect those different videos? That's what I'm talking about here. You're going to start to understand what could actually improve it. In the beginning, it might be harder to see what can be improved. But once you have this data in your brain of you've seen all of these different outlets of what works, what doesn't work, you're going to be able to fill in those blanks of if I put this scene in between here, that's going to help this video improve a lot. And virality comes down to 2 metrics, right? Let's use TikTok, for example. Will people stop and actually watch the video? So hook rate. And will people stay and watch that video for as long as possible? The longer you can get that average view time, the retention time on the video, those 2 numbers together, obviously engagement, other things all play a factor as well. But those 2 things, and in YouTube, it's will people click and will people actually watch and how long will they watch? So it's those common traits of what make things work. If you use this formula where you're always looking at what are the things that have gone viral, which means that you're good at getting people to watch and keeping them watching it, that you already know that, you're pulling those different ideas and plugging those together, and now are starting to understand it yourself and being able to improve upon those things. Now you're creating originality, which goes back to the point of here, stop chasing original ideas. Here's what actually makes things viral. Original ideas are not going to come from sitting down and being quote unquote original. It comes from this deep knowledge understanding, which now you're naturally going to become original, even though it is stemmed in pretty much just stealing different concepts. But because you're merging all these different concepts together, which haven't been seen before, now you're becoming original. This is the formula. Hopefully this all makes sense. But what's cool about this, and tying this back to the original story, which I was saying with Instagram. So the reason why it worked so well with Instagram was because the Explore page was giving me that natural push. So there wasn't any ads behind it, but I knew that there was, if I could get the right video with the right setup of all those technical things that came together, I would get the push from the algorithm I needed to make that proven video go viral. That's the simplistic version of it, right? Once I started to learn about ads, I realized I could get that push whenever I want, as long as I can pay for it. But the only way I could pay for it is making sure I can make a return. And that's what even led me into e-commerce and understanding that aspect, because I understood the virality concept from Instagram. If I could do that with ads and push traffic behind it and make money from that traffic, then I pretty much have an infinite money wheel. And that's exactly what I've done. I've been able to generate over $60 million in e-commerce sales in the last 3 years alone by doing this. So this works. I'm speaking from my experience, and hopefully you can take a few things away. The point here is that it's not just for ads, videos, and e-commerce, which I do. This could be, if I wanted to become a content creator, I would do the same exact thing. If I wanted to become viral in the cooking niche, let's say, what I would do is study, let's say I want to do it in vegan food. I would look at who are the best vegan creators out there, where are smaller accounts getting outsized returns on that virality, make a spreadsheet and list of all those different videos, take different parts of those videos that I like and mash them up together, start testing those out, see if it works. If it doesn't work, try to keep on going back to the drawing board and repeating this process over and over again until I can start to see the patterns. Once I can start to do that, I'm going to start to have my own fill-ins, keep on testing, keep on doing different types of videos until hopefully I crack into something and can get the algorithm to carry me. If I couldn't get the algorithm to carry me, then what I would do is the ones I get the best engagement from the algorithm, I would just push some traffic behind it to force that engagement and virality until I can get that virality on a consistent basis and tap into the algorithm. So this stuff works across the board. This is the formula to actually getting things to go viral consistently and predictably without a shadow of a doubt. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys that haven't tried using this formula. And what I want to just leave off at are, where are some places that you can use this? Number one, this applies for scripting ads, as I said, or making viral content, same thing. But this also applies for landing pages, right? If we're in e-commerce, we could talk about websites where you can find a lot of the best websites, see what parts you like, trip out different pieces of what you want, fill in the blanks of what can be improved, test, see what works. As long as you have an influx of traffic, you can always test and see what's working and what can hold for that viral basis. I think the same thing really applies across the board, like email flows. You could look at your competitors' emails, see what's working well, try to mix and match those different pieces again, test it. As you start doing all this testing, you can actually start to become original. Once you've memorized these patterns, you'll be able to go to a blank piece of paper without even doing all that research, probably spit something out on the computer, and it's just going to be straight fire. It's going to go viral because you've already memorized the patterns of what works in whatever industry or content niche you're in. Applies for emails, applies for picking products, right? What products are trending? Where are some ways that I can mix and match a different product that I see going really well here that can match here? It's the ability to find those different things that are working, put those different pieces together, make it unique on its own. And that uniqueness is then what creates originality. Stealing all these different ideas creates something completely new. And that's why this doesn't even matter, right? Like this can happen in everything outside of just business as well. If I wanted to make a dish, I could look at pizza and pineapples. I like both of those things, put those together. Now I got pineapple pizza. That shit's fucking amazing. And I created something new. So it's a lot of things like that. You can start to look at this formula. Hopefully this makes sense. Regardless, guys, hopefully you understand this. It's really what works for me. It's been able to get me really good results. And I think if you guys apply it, you should be able to get good results too. I would appreciate if you guys could subscribe, leave some comments below of what you want to see, give a like to this video, and I appreciate you tuning in.